Heinz Guderian, the architect of Germany's panzer warfare, was one of the few German generals who grasped early on that the war in the East was destined to bleed the Reich dry. Unlike Hitler, who dreamed of conquering the vast expanse of Russia in one overwhelming blow, Guderian's vision was more strategic and, in many ways, more realistic. He is said to have remarked, "We lost the war the day we captured Kiev and failed to raise the Ukrainian flag over the cathedral." What he meant was simple yet profound. Germany's true goal should never have been to swallow all of Russia, an impossible task given the sheer size, climate, and manpower of the Soviet Union. Instead, the aim should have been to shatter the Soviet state, splintering it into smaller, weaker republics that could never again threaten Europe. In 1941, this outcome was tantalizingly close. The Wehrmacht had smashed through Soviet defenses and swept across Ukraine, and Guderian believed this was the moment to change the course of the war. Had Germany chosen to hold a defensible line, say along the Don River, and then focused its strength on securing the oil-rich Caucasus, Fall Blau in 1942 might have stood a real chance. A fragmented Soviet Union, with Ukraine as its largest independent buffer state, would have created a radically different map of Europe. A negotiated peace could have followed, in which Russia proper was spared further destruction in exchange for recognizing the independence of the 15 Soviet republics. Among them, Azerbaijan, with its capital at Baku, possessed the richest oil reserves in the Soviet Union, a prize that would have made Germany's war machine nearly invincible. But Hitler squandered this opportunity. Instead of presenting themselves as liberators, the Germans imposed brutal occupation policies. Villages were burned, populations starved, and nationalist aspirations crushed under the heel of the Reich. Non-Russian peoples who might have risen against Moscow instead rallied to Stalin's side out of sheer survival. What could have been a divided Soviet Union became a united front against the invaders. In numbers too, the decision was disastrous. On their own, the 85 million ethnic Germans of the Reich might have matched or even outclassed an equivalent number of Russians in the field. But once the vast manpower of Ukraine, the Caucasus, Central Asia, and the Baltic states was thrown into the Soviet cause, the balance shifted fatally. Germany was no longer fighting just Russia. It was fighting the entire Soviet Union, a coalition of nations bound together by both fear and vengeance. Guderian saw this long before Hitler did. For him, the war was effectively lost not in the frozen wastes outside Moscow, nor even at Stalingrad, but at Kiev in 1941, when the chance to balkanize the Soviet Union slipped away.